Rube, how's that for the Eagles' first home win of the year?
Yeah, their first win since they beat the Saints at the Link.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, it was an interesting game. It was got a little hairy there for a bit. I started kind of redoing my 10 obs, like, okay, biggest blown lead since. But they put together a great drive to kind of clinch it, and some more Jalen heroics. It was, it wasn't the prettiest win as it turned out. Certainly 33-6 looks a lot better than 40-29, but it's a W.
It is a W, one they needed pretty badly. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. 40-29, the final. Eagles improved to 5-6 on the season. The playoffs are within reach here. I mean, this is legitimate now as you look at the schedule the rest of the way. This is a team that a lot of people were writing off a few weeks ago. All of a sudden, I mean, it's right there for them, and it's not outrageous to start talking playoffs for real.
No, absolutely. I mean, they're 3-1 in their last 4 games, and they've discovered a formula that works for them, even against a historic great run defense. So it's not at all silly to think about it, and I think that should be the goal now. I think that's a realistic goal. It's an attainable goal, and considering their schedule, I think it's something that if they don't get there, you'd be a little disappointed.
Yeah, as a reminder, they play at the Giants, at the Jets, then a bye week at home against Washington, the Giants on the road against Washington, Cowboys to finish it up in Week 18. Who knows what the Cowboys will be playing for at that point. So all winnable games.
The 538 has them at 36% to be a wild card team. So yeah, I feel like it's a little higher than that, but it's definitely out there. They got some things to clean up, but there's a lot to like about the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's something we've talked about all year. Once they got through the tough stretch, we needed to see what they had left as a team. Were they together? Were they improving? Were they growing roots? You know, all these things that we needed to see and we weren't sure of. And over the last month here, we're seeing, I mean, they're actually not a bad football team.
Yeah, and I just think Nick deserves so much credit for navigating him through those, Tampa and Kansas City and Dallas and Vegas. I think those were the 4 games that they just, at one point, a couple of them ended up a little closer, but they trailed at one point all 4 of those games by at least 17 points. And they were getting slaughtered in all 4 of them. And it's kind of like today's game. The final score got a little close, but
it's like the other way, though.
Yeah.
Like, they're not the team getting, it's kind of funny the way it's working out.
Right. So I feel like Nick deserves so much credit for, that's not an easy thing to do, to keep guys believing through a lot of lopsided, humiliating, embarrassing losses. And he did that. And we've talked about this. They never stop playing hard, and that's the one thing you look for in the midst of 33-13 or whatever the losses were, 41-21, whatever the score was. The effort never wavered, and I mean, when I hate to keep bringing this up, but when I did my preseason week by week by week, I had them, I think right where I had them like 2-7, and then finishing like 9-8, and I'm off by a game or 2 here and there, but you could tell they were going to have the opportunity if Nick could hold it together and keep them believing in him, believing in themselves, believing in each other. The schedule was going to become their friend, and that was a landmine there for like a month and a half.
Yeah, it really feels like the low point of the season was them flying home across the country from Las Vegas in a game that, that was a moment for them in a game where they had a bunch of fans on the road. It felt like, to me, that felt like the low point of the season when they lost that game. And ever since then, win in Detroit, the loss to the Chargers was a close game. That was a game that felt like, whoever had the ball last was going to win it. A win against the Broncos. I thought the Saints were going to win today. I didn't know that the Eagles were ready to win a game like this.
Yeah.
They were. Not only were they ready to win it, they were ready to blow the doors off, and I didn't expect that.
I didn't think there was a chance. I thought to win this game, they were going to have to make a lot of plays in the passing game. I didn't think they'd be able to run look, the Saints they're allowing 68. Well, they were allowing 65.6 yards. It's ninth best in history, ever. The league goes back to the 1920. So they quadrupled that almost, and I didn't see that coming. And it makes you wonder if the Saints can't stop them. And they're really active up front. Their linebackers are good. If they can't stop them, who can?
It's funny that you say that because you didn't get downstairs in time for Lane Johnson, but that's what I led his press conference off with. If you can run against them, you feel like you can run against anybody.
Yeah.
He didn't answer it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the way I feel right now looking at this team.
Yeah.
They can run against that team. Who's going to stop them?
Yeah, not the Giants, not the Jets. They're look, I don't know if you can. I don't know how far you can get doing it this way. I don't know if you can beat elite teams just running the ball 70% of the time. Nobody plays like this. Mm-hmm. Nobody has played like this in a long time. I think the Ravens early in Lamar's career were kind of similar a little bit, and that's certainly a good parallel. But it was incredible. I try to focus on the O-line during some of these running plays, and they're just steamrolling people.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is.
And Nick spoke to an overall physicality. That's kind of the term identity has come up quite a bit, and him and Jalen made a concerted effort after this game to not tie their identity to running the football, but they tied it to a physicality. And Nick made the point when I asked him that, physicality doesn't mean running the football, but I think there's a certain style of play that lends itself to being a physical team, and that's what we're seeing right now. They're running the football, and on defense, they're knocking people in the mouth. They're being more aggressive play calling wise, and they're also hitting people. You have guys like TJ Edwards out there hitting people. And so, yes, I get that you don't want to tie your identity to one thing, because then if you change it, it looks like you're going against your identity. But I think the fact that some of the things they're doing it really lends itself to being a physical, hard-nosed, tough team.
And I think you can't underestimate how much TJ Edwards has contributed to that since since his playing time kind of doubled plus a little.
Yeah. He's been very good.
He's been very good, but not just very good. He had a pick today, but just thumping people. Mm-hmm. And they needed a thumper. They needed a thumper in the middle, and I just default is going into Cote. Hey, he's a thumper.
That's scary that your default is Cote.
I know, it's terrifying, isn't it? But that he used that word, so mm-hmm. he would call a hard hitting linebacker was a thumper. Mm-hmm. And Edwards has made such a big difference. And Davion, he got banged up, but they. You go from Eric Wilson and Alex Singleton to these two, and it really changed the whole, I think, tenor of the defense. Because remember how bad the linebackers were the first 6 weeks of the season? They were awful. And they basically changed the whole position. They turned over the whole position group, and it's made a huge difference. I think TJ Edwards is almost like, really symbolizes what this team has become.
Mm-hmm. If you're looking for two guys that symbolize it, it's probably TJ and Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard, yeah.
The two guys on either side of the ball that I think someone said about TJ today, I don't remember who it was, but his physicality is contagious. I think that goes for Jordan, too.
Absolutely.
And honestly, in a way, Jalen hurts.
Yeah.
There are plays that he makes, and sometimes you don't want to see him make those plays. But him taking on I think he took on Malcolm in this game, who's pretty much a linebacker. Seeing him take him on, maybe you don't want to see that, but I think it does spread to the other facets of this team, and that's who they are right now. It's fun to watch. It's a fun brand of football to watch, too.
It really is, and it's exactly the kind of football that fans around here love. And, the modern NFL is thrown at 50 times a game, and, being super fast and athletic, and everything's down the field, and it's kind of an anachronistic brand of football. Yeah. But it's working.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely working, and you give them credit for being able to flip, because this wasn't who they were a month ago, and the competition helps. And not to say that the Saints are a weak team, but I think in general, playing some lesser teams kind of showed them who they are and who they can be, and they've stuck with it. You give them credit for that.
Yeah,
Maybe it took a little longer to get there than you would have liked, but
Right.
they're there now.
But I don't know any of those games that they got killed that they would have won. They weren't ready to be this team yet.
You're probably right. Yeah.
They weren't ready to be this team yet. There's so much to explore in Valley Forge and Montgomery County, PA. Montgomery County is composed of charming towns and main streets, each with its own personality, style, and unique vibe. Whether you're looking to get away with the family or enjoy a special trip with friends, leave behind the stress of planning and use our guide to find some of the most amazing things to do. Explore which town and main street suits you the best, or visit them all. Now, here's what you do. Go to makeitmainstreet.com. That's make it one word, makeitmainstreet.com to plan your getaway today.
Speaking of Main Street, Rube, that's where the Eagles ran today, just right up the gut.
This guy, Mr. Segway, right here.
There was one series, Jordan Howard, 5 straight carries, middle. It ended up being a field goal on that drive, but there's something about looking the number one run defense in the league in the eye and saying, we don't care. We don't care what you do best because we're going to do it better than you. And that's impressive as hell to watch.
I think he's my favorite running back ever. Don't tell Shady I said that.
I'm telling Shady.
But hopefully he's okay. Got banged up. But
A knee injury.
Yeah, didn't look great. He did walk off the field, so that's always good, but we'll see. But, man, he's just – and he does kind of remind you of Ryan Matthews, just how physical he is, and moves the chains and goes straight ahead and he doesn't dance. He doesn't mess around. And yeah, I mean, Boston Scott didn't – I mean, he got a couple carries at the end, but Miles and Jordan, it's like back to the first half of 2019.
It really is. Kenny Gainwell inactive.
Yeah, Kenny
this
Gainwell
game.
inactive.
It's tough. It's really tough to keep 4 running backs up.
Yeah.
So there it is. Boston really limited in this one.
But again, this team has allowed 200-yard rushers in the last 3.5 years, and there was Miles and Jalen Hurts last year. Miles 94 yards, and that's the second most any running back has had against them in the last 3 years, behind Miles 115 last year.
Yeah, and you know that game was 246 on the ground. This was what, 242?
Yeah, there were 244 and a couple of kneel downs.
Those kneel downs
are killing me.
We talk about that all the time, those stupid kneel downs. But I mean, 242 yards against it's unbelievable.
It's insane.
It really is, and it's
50 carries.
It's the only other game the Saints have given up 200 since in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even wrap my arms.
I thought you were going to break StatHead. That is our service we use to get stats. I thought Ruby's going to break it tonight.
I was giving it a run for its money. I think the biggest thing is that Nick stuck with it. I think the first 5 carries, they had 7 rushing yards. And I'm thinking, all right, they're not going to – but he stuck with it. He stuck with it even though it wasn't paying off early. And then they started busting some. And yeah, I mean, Miles and Jordan. I thought Miles looked great. I thought he ran the ball really, really well.
He did. Everyone's going to bring up the fumbles, rightfully so.
Sure.
The fumble that did count was awful, and then he almost fumbled again. It can't happen. He's got to be better there. But I did like that Nick went right back to him on the next drive after the fumble. That's something that Sirianni does a lot. That's something Jalen Hurts does a lot.
Yeah.
They go right back to the guy, show they have confidence in him. Yeah, and Miles is just a good player. I mean, 16 for 94 in this game.
Yeah, and he had a 25-yard run. Jalen had that 24-yard touchdown, which was just unbelievable. Cutback.
That poor guy, 96 is. He's going to be on the. It's like he got dunked on. He's in that poster forever.
Yeah, he got posterized. And what did Avante Maddox say? Oh, he's going to have to go get taped up again.
Avante said he was going to get the tape from the trainers to help tape his ankle. It was really his knees.
Yeah.
It was
his whole body buckled.
I mean,
but
it was an incredible juke.
Those are the 2 longest runs against the Saints since the last Eagles game when Miles had an 83-yard touchdown.
Yeah. And the reason Nick Sirianni gave us a little insight into why they felt like they could run against the Saints was because of Jalen Hurts. Because a defense has to play him differently than they do any other quarterback, and it opens up running lanes. And when you realize that, that's the fun part about trying to scout for Jalen Hurts, because the downside of it is you don't really have a lot of tape to go on.
Right.
And this is something I've kind of been really curious about the last few weeks.
Yeah, I gathered from your line of questioning.
Yeah, but
it's a great story.
It is. It's interesting because the Eagles are trying to scout opposing defenses, but these opposing defenses, unless they've played the Ravens, haven't played a guy, or maybe Cardinals a little bit. They haven't played a guy like Jalen Hurts who's this effective on the ground. So, sure, the Saints are great stopping the run, but they haven't had to face a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. So you give them credit for kind of realizing in this chess game how it was going to play out a little bit and sticking with it, because he opens up so much. He's so dynamic in the run game. And it's not even about the plays he makes with his legs. It's just the sheer threat his legs present changes the way the defense plays the Eagles, and it opens up so much for them.
And I think he'll get even better at using his legs to, draw defenders up toward him. And he hasn't really. I mean, that's advanced stuff, but he has the ability to do that.
And at times we see like speed options. And there are more layers to this.
Right. Right. No doubt. He's not. It's funny because he's not as fast as like a Michael Vick.
Who is?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not. He's not.
He's not Lamar either.
He's not Lamar.
But he's pretty damn fast.
He's fast. He has great sense of angles.
I mean, after he makes that juke, watching him accelerate through the defense.
Yeah.
I did get a little Vic flashback.
Little Vic.
There aren't many guys who can accelerate as a quarterback from basically going the other way. It's not even stopped. It's going the other way on a juke, planting your knee and pushing off and going through the defense like that. How many guys in the league can do that?
And that's not really pure speed as much as it's just he's very creative as a runner.
Well, no, I mean the speed comes with the acceleration.
He's
through
got
the defense
tremendous
after
acceleration.
The juke.
Yeah,
I mean, him and Lamar.
Yeah,
that's the list. There it is. Maybe Kyler, but Kyler runs like a little kid. Runs with like little baby steps. He's fast, but
I mean, he's unique, and he can get you out of a hole. He can turn nothing into something. I think 18 carries is a little too much. 2 were kneel downs. 3 of them were touchdowns. Only the 8th quarterback in history. You probably looked this up.
I was about to.
And you saw me.
And then I was like, I'll let him have it. Yeah. Smoke was coming off your keyboard.
8th quarterback in history, and that includes like Tobin Rote and some of the guys from back in the day.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Thank you. First Eagles quarterback. Randall never did that. Vic never did it. Donovan never did it. Jaws never did it. He had 2 in a game.
And the fun thing was there was the one on the sneak, but the other 2 were impressive runs.
Yeah, there were runs. And he's unstoppable on sneaks too.
Yeah, he is.
He's only the 7th Eagle, including running backs. And in the last 50 years, I think just Wilbert did it 3 times. Charlie Garner did it in 95 against Washington, I believe. I think it was the week after he had that big game against the Niners. And then Shady did it a couple times. And Boston Scott did it against the Giants, of course. Who else? I think they were on 3 straight possessions. But, he's got, 8 rushing touchdowns now, which puts him in the top 10 all time with 6 games to go. And he's 8 touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. Only 24 passing attempts, completed 13 of them for 147 yards. I have to ask, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but is that
like Kathy?
We'll get to Chatty Cathy.
Chatty Cathy, Debbie Downer.
Am I going to have to do another poll?
No, I've heard of Debbie Downer.
Okay.
Jerk. Like 97%. Like, I don't feel too stupid here. Yeah.
Is this sustainable? Can they do that?
No.
Can this be the offense?
It's not. And, you have to be able to make plays in the passing game. And you could see that's one of the reasons, the Saints were able to come back and score 22 points in the 4th quarter. Now, part of it was Nick being too conservative, and he
owned up.
He owned up to that. It was obvious watching the game. But I don't even think it's just Jalen. I think there's basically 2 receivers.
That's the thing. I don't think it's all like the passing game isn't just Jalen.
Yeah.
Quez had 1 target, no catches. Jalen Reagor had 1 catch on 3 targets for -1 yards. Devontae 4 for 61. That's great. Dallas 5 for 61, but that's it.
62.
62.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the J-Jaw play because it was a big one.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can consistently count on him to be a receiver. So yeah, it's someone else, and they need a third target.
And it's been this way for a while now because Quez, I don't know why Quez kind of fell out. Gainwell was catching the ball early.
Someone else.
Reagor was actually the first month of the season. He had 100 and some odd yards.
Yeah.
So it's like all these guys.
How weird was that bubble screen late in the game? What are you trying to force it to Jalen Reagor for?
This is 3 weeks in a row they've done something like that to try to. It's not there. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, other than Dallas and Devontae, there were only 4 targets.
Yeah.
And only 3 catches. 4 catches, and 3 of them were for 2 yards or less.
Yeah.
Or totaled 1 yard. But anyway, yeah,
let's give Jay Jaws roses here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because it is cool, and people are going to roll their eyes.
No.
Let them, because that was a big play. That's a huge play from Jay Jaw to get a first down on that. They needed it.
This is a guy who's been ridiculed. He's been mocked. He didn't draft himself before DK Metcalf. He didn't draft himself in the second round. He stayed ready. He's put everything he has into special teams. It's got to be humbling to be a second-round pick and not play on offense. But he's become a really good special teamer. That's why he's on the team. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be here. That's why he. And
he was not a very good special teamer early in his career.
He was not.
Yeah.
And here's a guy who's got 15 career catches coming into this game, 4 last year and none this year. He's caught 4 passes since 2019. He hasn't been targeted this year. And he was just hurt. I mean, he was banged up. And on 2nd and 11, when nothing was going right for the offense, I think it was 6 straight drives that stalled. A couple they got field goals, but they were short fields. The offense couldn't do anything. The passing game couldn't do anything. And he caught. Not only did he catch the ball and secure it, and then get yards after the catch, secure the ball and get a huge first down, and then they went down and scored. Because things were getting tight there.
Oh, yeah?
Things were getting really tight. They were going to lose the game if they didn't get a few first downs there, or at least 1 or 2. And I think that was a play of the game.
Well, Nick said it's their offensive play of the game. They pick an offensive and a defensive player and play of the game.
I mean, he had 2 catches in that game at the end of the year against Washington, the whole Sudfeld game. Yeah. But this was his first catch in a meaningful game in over a year, since October of last year. I give that kid so much credit for dealing with what everyone is saying, the mocking and the ridiculing and making fun of him, and DK Metcalf this and
we don't know what it was, but apparently Nick was saying he was going through some sort of personal turmoil this week.
He alluded to something else. But to deal with all that and be ready in that moment, the first moment in a year, and catch that ball, I give the kid a ton of credit.
And it doesn't look. We're not saying it makes up for everything else, and it's not like all of a sudden he's a great player. But in that moment, they needed a play. He delivered a play, and you give him credit for it.
And he's got more yards than Reagor in the last month.
Yeah. That's the problem.
It's a big problem, and they've got to shut him down.
I don't know what you do. We talked about it last week. I'd start playing Gainwell in the slot. You need another receiver. You need someone else to catch the ball, whether it's Kenny Gainwell, whether it's Tyree Jackson. They targeted him in this game. I don't know what you got to do, but
Greg Ward,
somebody else. They need somebody else to step up offensively, because it's great that they're running the football, and the offensive line is rolling right now. They're going to be the offensive player of the game, guarantee that, when you run for 242 yards. And they're playing with a mean streak too. I loved watching Jordan Mailata in this game.
That was great.
Loved it.
Yeah.
So everyone sees he one-handed Cam Jordan with his left hand, by the way, throws a potential future Hall of Famer to the ground with one hand. There was another play with Davenport. Everyone saw him and Davenport scrapping a little bit.
Scrap it.
There was another play where Davenport hit Jalen Hurts late. It should have been a flag.
Yeah.
Hurts was out of bounds. First guy in his face was Jordan Mailata. Now, this is a guy, we know his story. There's you have to be a protector as a left tackle. That's something Jason Peters understood 100%, and it seems like Mailata gets that because he's in Davenport's face immediately. I love to see that. I love to see a mean streak out of Mailata.
Yeah, me too. He's I thought he had his best game in a while today. I thought the last couple games, I don't think he's been totally healthy with that knee, kind of slowly getting back to where he was. But I thought he was great today.
Both tackles were great.
Yeah, both tackles were great. And I mean, Lane's had 2 back-to-back monster games. He's really been good. I thought the first game he came back wasn't quite there. He'd been missed a month. Yeah. But you know what? 5 straight games now that the same O-line has played together with with the 2 tackles and Dickerson and Driscoll and Kelsey. It's the longest they've been together for 2.5 years as an O-line, and I think that's huge as far as guys communicating and chemistry and togetherness and cohesiveness and connecting. It's big for connecting. And but
did you go core values on me there?
I think I did. But yeah, Malata is. I guess it's that rugby background. A lot of times these new guys who don't grow up as football players, they don't have that mean streak.
That's the thing, and watching him, there's something inherent about that position. You have to protect the quarterback. He's your guy. Protect him. And seeing him run up in a defensive lineman's face on that play, it's encouraging. And it's not, look, he's already a really good player. He's a long, but seeing that in that moment, you're like, yeah, he gets it.
Yeah.
Go get
no
that
doubt.
guy.
And he's like the nicest guy.
Don't get a penalty, but do it.
Yeah.
Get him in the face.
I appreciate the refs not calling any flags on the little skirmish there.
Yeah. Well, it looked like Malata was just trying to get up.
Yeah. But
yeah. Anything else on the offense?
No. I think we covered it. I like. They've been so good on third down, really, this whole 4-game stretch.
Yeah. And it really helps them to. It's such coach speak stuff, but getting in more manageable third downs has helped them. And on the flip side, on defense, and we'll get to that in a minute, but getting into third and longs allows them to be more aggressive. So it's what they plan to do. They did it in this game. Yeah,
no doubt. Hey, score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts you've come to expect from AAA. Now you can get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For details, visit AAA.com/Eagles.
All Darius Slay does is score touchdowns. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
And he's concussed. And in the locker, he must be in the locker room just retweeting people saying how great the play was. It's a great play.
Yeah.
Simeon's got a little noodle arm. He throws it out there. Slay breaks on it. What was it? 51 yards?
51 yards.
His third touchdown in
4 games. Yeah, he's the first Eagle with a defensive player with 3 touchdowns in a season since Eric Allen in 1993. I assume he's the first ever with 3 in a 4-game span. And back-to-back, long ones.
Yeah. He had played 125 games in his career with 1 touchdown. And he has 3 in 4 weeks.
Yeah. He's playing with so much confidence. He believes he's the best cornerback in football, and he's playing like it.
He is. He might be. He's going to be the Eagles' first Pro Bowl corner since Asante.
Yeah.
He might be an All-Pro.
He could be an All-Pro. Yeah, these are the kind of plays that get you noticed. He's got the personality that gets him noticed as well.
I bet you they probably had to tie him to a chair to prevent him from coming to talk to us after that game.
Yeah, you're not allowed to talk if you're in the protocol, but Goddard did, technically.
He was at the – well, in that – you're allowed to. You have to be in that, I think –
in the fourth
phase, and then you're allowed to talk to media.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So.
Well, obviously, Slay's not. And they missed him. It's like to go from nothing against Zach McPherson because I think he's a nice prospect and, he's got some things going for him. But to go from Slay to Zach McPherson, I mean, that's as big a gap as you can have. But, Slay has this mentality where every play, he's not just looking to knock a ball down or make it. He's looking for the ball. And he's just got a nose for the end zone, and that play was
it's huge.
I mean, those kind of plays, and these are plays this defense hasn't made in a long time.
24 seconds left in the second quarter.
Yeah,
I mean that's the difference between going in at halftime 27-7 or 20-7. That's a big difference.
Yeah, or even 20-10. Who knows?
Yeah, they're right. They were driving.
Yeah, they were driving. So he's last year everyone called him big play Slay. He didn't make them. This year he's making them. He's got 2 picks, 2 fumble recoveries, or 3. Is it 3 picks now? No, 2 picks now. 2 picks. No, he's got 3 picks.
He has 3.
He has 3 picks. Yeah. Who's the last Eagles cornerback with 3 interceptions in a season? Was it
Boykin?
Might have been Brandon Boykin. He had 6 that one year, but He's playing, and this is what we've been talking about. That you can't play good defense if you're not making plays. You can't go out there and stop people on third down every drive. You've got to get takeaways. And this team for 3 years did not get takeaways. Mm-hmm. And they're starting to get them. Yeah,
and they got another one.
Yeah.
It was Fletcher forced that one?
Well, it might have been Hargrave. I have to get a better look at it. And obviously the other interception, TJ. But, they a forced fumble and 2 picks. And a pick 6.
I'll do it.
They're still not getting the sacks. I thought they pressured
pretty well. They're
well.
getting good pressure, though.
I thought they pressured well the last couple games.
Hargrave got a BS.
That was terrible.
The passer.
Terrible.
I don't know what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's
terrible.
terrible.
Guess they're saying he didn't leave with the crown, though. If he hit him in the helmet, it was his face mask looking at him. Like, what are you? You're not going to take off your head and then hit him. Like, what do you want him to do?
Yeah. Yeah, that was awful. And it came at a time when they were really getting some momentum and moving the ball. And they had great field position, like 5 straight drives and short fields.
Let's talk about Gannon.
Yeah.
Because they dialed up some great blitzes on third downs. And they were in third and long, so it kind of allowed them to be aggressive. But this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see he has some players that can blitz. Avante had one and got a good quarterback hit. Alex Singleton had another, and that's one of Alex's strengths. Yeah. Early in the year when they were playing so passive and he looked so bad, it was because he's on his heels. He's not an on-your-heels player. He's a guy who has to get after it.
I get the sense that Gannon is really starting, and this probably goes for both sides of the football, but I understand this is a segment of the podcast where we're not talking about the offense. But
you can go back and forth.
I do think this applies, but this is solely a comment about the defense. But it could be interpreted by some. Anyway, I think Gannon is really getting, with each passing week, more and more of a sense of what his players do well, how to use them, how to deploy guys, where they excel. And we didn't see Avante blitz early in the year. And I guess that's understandable. I mean, it's an entirely new staff other than Stout.
And easier to blitz on Trevor Siemian than Tom Brady.
No question about it. And all those guys, you can't blitz on any of those. You can't blitz Mahomes. You can't blitz Brady. You can't blitz Dak. I wouldn't blitz him if he's healthy. So, yeah, but I really believe that Gannon's starting to get a sense of what he has and how he can use them and what guys do. And I give him credit for making the changes he made at linebacker. That's pretty significant. And I think he's kind of grown into the part. I thought he had a great game plan. Obviously, 29 points is more than you don't want to give up 29 points, but I mean they had the game in hand, and I thought it was a good game for the defense, even though the final point total was a little high.
Yeah, I mean, but they had some short drives that they got points on.
Yeah.
And man, that 3rd and 18 touchdown, 3rd and goal from the 18, TJ lost track of it. He should have made a play.
Yeah.
But Siemian just made a great throw. I mean,
one of their touchdown drives was 16 yards. One was 39 yards.
I do like, we were talking about this.
Field goal drive was 24 yards. So
the first touchdown drive was 3 plays, 6 yards with an 18-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
And that one was on Miles, the fumble. But I really can't. I'm not going to say anything. I thought the defense was pretty good. Siemian made some plays at the very end of the game and padded his stats through a couple touchdowns, but he wasn't going to beat this team.
No.
Yeah. At Nissan, we just made your choice for a new car an easier one than ever with our most exciting and fuel-efficient lineup. The choice is yours. Get great offers across our full line and shop your local Nissan store today at nissanusa.com.
All right, we need a negativity corner because this was a convincing win. Final score, not so much, but 40-29. They had this in hand. Negativity corner, back and forth. What do you got?
Well, we talked about the problems with the receivers not having anybody other than Devontae and Goddard, and that's a concern. I'm concerned with Quez not getting the ball, with obviously Gainwell's not going to get the ball if he's inactive, but I would say, Reagor's the easy one, but I'm going to go just the lack of sacks, because as good as the pressure has been against better quarterbacks, you've got to finish those plays.
Yeah.
You've got, I mean, they have 1 sack today?
Yeah.
Oh, they had none. I thought they had one. They officially had none according to the game book. But
that doesn't bother me as much because they got good pressure.
Yeah, but against good quarter. I mean, they just don't get sacks.
Yeah.
They're like, I think they're 27th coming in. This is what, the 5th game without a sack? And I think they're 3rd in the last 5. And they've won a couple of those. But
by the way, I have to say this. Ryan Kerrigan had a good game.
He did.
He had a good game. He had good pressure. And I feel obligated to say that because I've been ripping him all year. Rightfully so. He hasn't done anything. But he actually had a good game.
We saw a guy at the pregame show with a Kerrigan jersey.
His dad?
And I said...
It had to be related, right?
No, he was just... He said, yeah, when they got him, I was all excited, and I went and bought it.
Oh, my God.
And I said, you got to take that 90 and put Corey Simon... Put Simon on the back. Make that a Corey Simon jersey.
By about week 6, he was like, "Oh, what did I do?
What have I done?"
Yeah. But no, give him credit. He had a good game.
Do you take exchanges? Yeah. But yeah, that's. I mean, you got sacks are yards, pressures. Are not sacks. I mean, I'd like to see some sacks.
I get it.
I do think the D line has played really well for the most part the last couple games, but you got to finish.
And they had some opportunities.
They did. Sweat had one.
Yeah.
And it turned into a big play for them. Mm-hmm. He's got to finish.
That's fair. I'm going to go with Miles' fumble issue because he did fumble one away, and there was another one that, yes, it got whistled, but I mean, he did fumble it. It was, luckily for him, the play was dead, but can't happen. I mean, the one ended up being a huge play. The Saints score on that ensuing drive, so he's got to shore it up a little bit. They need Miles. As good as Jordan Howard's been, as good as Boston Scott has been, you need Miles Sanders. He's your best runner. He is. He just is. So you need him to be healthy. You need him to hold on to the football.
Yeah, there's no question. And I also didn't like that one ball. He got wide open down the right sideline, and
that was a tough one.
Didn't come back to the ball at all.
Marcus Williams traveled a long way.
He did. He did. He made a nice play, but that nice play, I mean, he doesn't have the opportunity to finish that play if Miles just comes back to the ball a little. So I know he's a running back.
Yeah, it was a weird play because he's kind of like backpedaling. I get what you're saying, and he should have come back for it. I think it's a tough play for him to come back on.
Yeah.
Because he's backpedaling. It's kind of a broken play. Hurst probably could have gotten it out quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Though. But I mean, I really like the way Miles played overall. We got to talk about Reagor a little bit.
Yeah, I'll use him for my last negative. I don't know, and it's not just he had a couple decent returns, but he also took one out from like the 2-yard line, 3-yard line that he probably should have let go in the end zone. He's just a disappointment right now.
He's bad at kick returns. He's okay at punt returns.
Yeah. He actually made some things happen in the punt return game.
Yeah, he's okay. He's okay, but I just
get Quez back on kick.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what you do with him. I mean, I know you don't want to bench or make him inactive. He's a first round pick last year, but he's not one of your 11 best players at any. There's no way he's ever one of your 11 best players. I'd rather have J-Jaw out there. I'd rather have Greg Ward out there. I'd rather have Deion Kane, or I'd rather have Travis Fulgham out there.
Is he in the league?
I think he's on the Dolphins practice squad. How about Matt Collins today?
Another big play.
66-yard touchdown. Good for him. And rode his bicycle home from the game. But yeah, it's a problem. And both these things go together because they're sticking with him, and I appreciate that. They're trying to make it work, but it's just not working. We don't snap counts yet, but he's taking snaps from somebody who could catch
and
the
early
ball.
In the year, like
50, he had a 51, he had a 44.
Yeah.
His first career game, he had a 55-yard catch.
Yeah, he was getting some production. I mean, in the last 4 weeks here, 1 catch for 0 yards, 1 catch for -6, 1 catch for 12. Today, what was he? 1 for -1. I mean, it's brutal right now.
Yeah, so his last 4 games, he's got 4 catches for 5 yards.
Yeah.
And before that, a 2 for 25, a 0 for 0. I mean,
yeah. They need something out of him. He doesn't have to be great. They just need something. And he's not giving them anything. He's actually hurting them.
He's hurting them.
Yeah.
It's like going 11 on 10.
Yeah. It's tough. I don't know what they can do. Because it's force feeding him hasn't worked. Letting him just play in the offense hasn't worked. And I understand that there are other players they want to get involved ahead of him. That makes perfect sense. You want to get the ball to Devontae. You want to get it to Goddard. That's where they're going to start every week, 6 and 88. How do we get him involved? But you need some sort of third threat. They don't have it.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
So it's a concern.
All right. We can't end on that. Oh, it's what we have. Avonte Maddox and Dallas Goedert both got contracts since
Roommates.
last time we spoke. And I thought they both had good games in their first payday games.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're the kind of moves. This is what Howie's really good at. I think the Goddard thing was tricky, but after they traded Ertz, the pressure was really on Howie to get this done.
He said there'd be no discount. There was no discount.
No, there was not.
Yeah.
Just under $60 million. Do we have the official numbers? Not yet, but we'll get them soon. The tight end, and we've talked about this, how the tight end market was kind of lagging
for years.
Yeah, for years, but it's not lagging anymore. Yeah. And
you can thank George Kittle and Travis Kelce and the
Mark
two in New England and Mark Andrews.
Yeah. So he's not a Pro Bowler. Avonte's not a Pro Bowler, but they're both very good. I think Goddard could be at some point, but they're both very good pieces.
The nickel should have its own Pro Bowl vote, by the way.
I really agree.
The nickel is there's kind of a nice balance here because both tight end and nickel cornerback, for whatever reason, underappreciated positions. Nickel, really.
Yeah. I think tight end is kind of
getting there.
Come into its own with guys like Kelce and Kittle.
But there's another level to me.
Ertz.
Like Kelsey's in another level because he's so good as a receiver. But Kittle and Goddard, they don't get enough credit for how good a blocker is.
Kittle's an incredible blocker. Well, yeah, they both are.
Goddard's a very good blocker.
He is. He's terrific. But yeah, it's a lot of money. But they were in a position where Dallas had all the leverage. You couldn't lose Ertz and Goddard.
Yeah, they were going to sign him at some point.
Could have re-signed Ertz, but he's not the one you wanted.
Yeah.
And Maddox is,
playing the best in his career.
Oh yeah, by far the best in his career. Really settled into the slot, and
he made some big plays today.
He really did. He's physical. I like the word that Nick used to describe him. Just scrappy. Mm-hmm. I thought his coverage was great today, and he's not a starter, but he's playing maybe 20 snaps a game less than Slay.
That's another thing that's so outdated is calling their base defense their starters because they start the game. I get that that's what starters are, but they're
a starter is literally the guy that starts the game. So
I know, but we need to find a new term.
Regulars. You use that. I'll use starters. But anyway,
I'm going to start a regular revolution.
I think Avonte's been one of their most consistent defensive players this year. Players, period. Yeah. He's been really, really good, and he's fun to watch. He's just he's so active and for not the biggest guy, physical, really good
Very
tackler.
Physical. Yeah.
Good tackler. Yeah. So good for them.
Yeah, this is my poll results from last week. 465
Thanks
votes.
for watching the podcast.
Have you ever heard the phrase chatty Cathy? No chance I would have gotten to this if I wasn't on this side of it. 90.3% yes, 9.7% no.
Those 9.7% are my people.
If you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. We'll be back with you this week as we look forward to a playoff run in Philadelphia. For Reuben, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. Talk soon.